Hi, my name is Mr. Eric, and today I'm going to be reading you a great new book called Counting on Katherine, How Katherine Johnson Saved Apollo 13. It's written by Helaine Becker and illustrated by Dow Fumurik. Here's a great picture of somebody working on a giant chalkboard. Look at all those figures. Wow, that looks fun. So on this page, we have the dedication. It says, for Katherine, her daughters, and all who look to the stars. That's by the author. And the illustrator dedicated it to Madeline, Audrey, and Sabrina. All this and more. And then below that is the very important copyright information and the people who make the books, the publishers, and all of the people involved. It's very important that every book has that in there. We don't usually read it, but it's very important. And that's why it's there. And here's the title page. And look, she's sitting in front of a globe and she has a big machine in front of her and a book and a pen or a pencil. Very interesting. Katherine loved to count. She counted the steps to the road, the steps up to the church, the number of dishes and spoons she washed in the bright white sink. The only thing she didn't count were the stars in the sky. Only a fool, she thought, would try that. Even so, the stars sparkled. The only thing she didn't count were the stars in the sky. Only a fool, she thought, would try that. Even so, the stars sparked her imagination. What was out there? Katherine yearned to know as much as she could about numbers, about the universe, about everything. Katherine's boundless curiosity turned her into a star student. She was so bright, she skipped 3 whole grades. She catapulted right past her brother. He was not too happy about that. By the time she turned 10, Katherine was ready for high school. But back then, America was legally segregated by race. Her town's high school did not admit Black students of any age. Katherine burned with fury. She wanted more than anything to keep learning. There was still so much to know. Wouldn't you want to be able to go to wherever school you wanted to go, no matter what you look like? Count on me, Katherine's father told her. By working night and day, he earned enough money to move the family to a town with a Black high school. So they used to be in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Then they moved to the Institute, West Virginia. Katherine loved high school. She was good at every subject, but math was still her favorite. She dreamed of becoming a research mathematician, making discoveries about the number patterns that are the foundations of our universe. In those days, though, there were no jobs as research mathematicians for women. Professions most available to them were teaching and nursing. So Katherine became an elementary school teacher. She liked her job. She loved her students, but she never stopped dreaming about exploring numbers. In the 1950s, the US government's National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, the NACA, hired thousands of new employees. It even started hiring Black women as mathematicians. Katherine heard about the mathematician jobs. Her heart raced with excitement. Perhaps her dream could come true after all. But when she applied for one of the positions, she was told they were already filled. Katherine had to wait a whole year until new spots opened up. Her patience paid off. She got the job. And look, it's in Langley Aeronautical Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. A few years later, the Soviet Union sent a rocket ship into space, launching the space race with the United States. NACA was rolled into a new space agency, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Katherine now found herself at the heart of America's space program. She worked as a computer. Huh? She was a computer? Huh. Electronic computers were not widely used yet. Calculating long series of numbers. All the computers were women. They were given the tasks the men thought were boring and unimportant. That didn't bother Katherine. She knew that without her contributions, a spaceship couldn't reach its destination nor safely return to Earth. Here's why. Sending a rocket ship into space is like throwing a ball into the air. At first, the force of the throw sends the ball up, up, up. But as its energy runs out, the ball's path curves back to the ground. Where it lands depends on what angle it was thrown and how high and how fast it flew. Because math is a kind of language, Katherine could ask those questions. How high would the rocket ship go and how fast would it travel? Using numbers. And numbers would provide the all-important answer. Where would it land? To find out, Katherine plotted the numbers she calculated on the graph. When she joined the points together, they formed a curved line. At one end of that line was Earth at the time the rocket ship launched. At the other was where the Earth was when the ship landed. Katherine's reputation for accuracy and strong leadership skills, she was known for asking plenty of questions, got her promoted to Project Mercury, a new program designed to send the first American astronauts into space. Mercury's missions were going to be dangerous. So dangerous that even the project's star astronaut, John Glenn, refused to fly unless Katherine okayed the numbers. You can count on me, she said. Glenn's spacecraft, Friendship 7, orbited Earth 3 times and then returned home safely. Glenn became a national hero. Katherine was promoted again. Now she was asked to calculate the flight paths for Project Apollo, the first flights to the moon. Count on me, she said. On July 20th, 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts walked on the moon. Their feat was celebrated around the world. More triumphs followed. Apollo 12 rocketed to the moon in November 1969. Apollo 13 launched on April 11th, 1970. But on the third day of Apollo 13's flight, the worst thing happened. An explosion in space. Could the crippled spaceship make it back to the moon? And if it didn't, would it be able to get back home to Earth? The 3 astronauts on board were in grave peril. Commander Jim Lovell told Mission Control, "Houston, we have a problem." Back on Earth, Katherine Johnson got a phone call. Her flight path calculations would have to be done all over again, and perfectly. It would be the toughest challenge of her life. Katherine told Mission Control, "You can count on me." She rolled up her sleeves, took a deep breath, and began doing the math. She worked hard and fast. A few hours later, Katherine's calculations were finished. The flight path to return home would take the ship around the far side of the moon. From there, the moon's gravity would act like a slingshot to zing the ship back to Earth. To get home, the crew of Apollo 13 would have to follow Katherine's course exactly by burning off fuel at precise intervals. If the astronauts made a mistake, their ship would drift through space forever. Katherine waited anxiously to hear the astronauts' report. Finally, it crackled over the loudspeakers. "We've got it. Apollo 13 was back on track. Woohoo! Good job, Katherine." Everybody's so excited. See in the picture, if you look, they're looking at a screen and you can see the capsule is landing with 3 giant parachutes. Katherine Johnson had done it. She brought Apollo 13 home. She was no longer the kid who dreamed of what lay beyond the stars. She was now a star herself. So it looks like those are all her calculations, or some of them, written in the orbit that she drew around the moon. Very cool. It's all math, girls. Math is so important. Make sure you enjoy math. Don't be afraid of it. If it causes a challenge, you can face that challenge. Get help, ask for help, support, but make sure you learn your math. So girls, this page is more about Katherine, and we don't really have time to go over it all, but as you can see, she lived to an older age. Here's a picture of her in her wheelchair, and this was in 2015, and she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That is impressive. And so she's able to really be rewarded for all the great work that she did to save those people's lives, to help NASA. She was a groundbreaker for amazing, amazing, amazing women to be able to do things in science and in NASA. Very exciting. So I hope you enjoyed our story, and we will see you next time. Bye.